Hey there team, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my overview of Assassin's Creed Shadows. So look, out of the gate, let me just level with you. This is sort of a hybrid format. I've been playing with two different formats at the time and I can't make up my mind, so we're going to do something in between. So I'm going to try and keep this video shorter form because if we're being really honest, I just like talking to the microphone, slapping the video together and sharing it with you. That's as much as I care. I don't want to make some sort of bloody 30-minute diatribe masterpiece. I'm not given to that. In fact, the whole reason I got into this is because I hate that stuff. So I want to keep it kind of entry level, kind of compact, but I also want to invest in individual games a little bit longer because I'm finding myself spread thin and kind of overstimulated with all the different games. So let's try this. We'll give it a score. It'll be out of 100 because I plan on reviewing 100 games over the course of the year. So it's more of a relative rating. Think of it as an order in which Scarlett would recommend a game for you to play. So there's going to be a lot to cover. Credentials, I'm a big Assassin's Creed nut, right? I'm an Ubisoft fan, dare I say apologist. However, that doesn't mean I carry water for them. If you watch any of my other videos, like I enjoyed Star Wars Outlaws, for example, and I'm a normie Star Wars fan, but at the same time, I called it out for all the bullshit that's in it at the same time. It didn't stop me from having fun, but you call a spade a spade. A game can be fun and it can have nonsense in it, and I'd rather just share with you both. So that's where I'm at. And I've put, 18 hours into this at the time of recording. That's the ceiling I put on it so as to be able to do 100 games a year. How long to beat says it's how long it takes to clock a game. This isn't even close with this game. So consider, if you're familiar, Assassin's Creed Mirage was supposed to be a soft reboot on the back of the soft reboot trilogy RPG bonanza that was Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla, but it would seem Mirage didn't go down well. Fans like me loved it. I thought it was really good, a great return to form, excellent, but I don't think it really moved any copies. It wasn't highly controversial. No one really talked about it, except me. I thought it was great. So as much as they overswung to correct for that, they're overswinging again past Valhalla with this. This is Valhalla on crack. Most of the map I still haven't uncovered. There's going to be so much more content. The story is just dragging on and on without giving me anything, basically, which is sort of frustrating. So if you found Valhalla to be drawn out and bloated, this is going to be the same. If it didn't worry you and you kind of loved all that content, maybe you'll love this because of it. It is an Assassin's Creed game in name only. They have drifted further and further from the original source, and it kills me, it breaks my heart. I'm a huge fan of the original trilogy and Desmond's story and what the Animus was, an important hook to the actual narrative through line and what got people interested in Assassin's Creed in the first place. Now, you'll laugh at this. It's a cash shop season pass sort of overlay thing that gives you daily quests that you can use and an excuse to get items that kind of break canon because it's the Animus, right? The Animus is a machine you plug in. It's so this game is a period piece, and for the most part, it plays a lot of that straight, but then you can buy your weird bloody Animus costumes from doing daily Fortnite season pass quests to run around in a strange kimono that doesn't make sense. How far we've fallen. Likewise, as far as the Assassin's Guild, they haven't mentioned the Assassins once. No Assassins, no Templars, no versions of it. It's pretty clear that, the group that you were hunting, you're kind of on a revenge mission for Naoe's dad, hunting down these 12 dudes, right? We've seen this pattern, we've seen this concept, but it's not addressed outside of it being just that, Naoe's revenge quest. She's building up an army of friends, you've got like a base you can manage, it's all pretty throw it all at the wall and see what sticks for content, but she's got an Assassin's Creed wristy thing that her dad gave her, and when she finally meets Yasuke, finally, we'll get to that, he's like, where did you get this from? He recognized it. Light spoilers, I guess, but that's it. That's all they've mentioned about the Assassins in 18 hours. So no Animus, no Assassins, no nothing. This is very much closer to something like, Ghosts of Tsushima. The comparisons are unavoidable. I think for the most part, it really nails that world design. I mean, you might be skeptical and think it won't nail it, but, as far as let's use the Whipping Boy, for example, Avowed, the static world, everyone's sort of struck by how motionless that game was. This gets it. This has got the dynamism, the seasons, like out of Forza, so 1 minute you're in beautiful summer, spring weather with purple, vibrant flowers and all sorts of beautiful little riverways and things like that, and wildlife. And then you've got torrential rain running down and dudes holding onto their hats against the rain. So like the dynamism's there, the rolling wind and blowing leaves, and it's beautiful. It's so beautiful. It's the most beautiful Ubisoft game that they've ever designed, and where something like Ghost of Tsushima really leans into that stylized flowing open plains of grass, this is much more going for like compact foliage, roughage, bush bashing is kind of off limits because it is just so dense, and I don't know what they're doing and how they're doing it, but it doesn't feel like copy-paste trees everywhere. Well, apart from the Assassin's local high point, they seem to use the same tree with yellow paint over and over again. It's going to drive people nuts. But like, there is an intimacy to all these little ponds with koi fish and beautiful little rocky terrain things that you can't get your horse up. Your horse doesn't have an autopilot anymore, by the way. Oh my God. Because it is so difficult to drive your horse anywhere except in an open plain. The game's given up. It can't get the Tesla auto drive to work. I guarantee you that's why. So there's no auto drive or anything like that. You're going to get your horse caught on random little bloody things on the side of the road. It gets frustrating. But, all these complaints aside, it is beautiful. They've really gone from strength to strength. I held Avatar as one of the most beautiful games ever, whether you like it or not, right? They got the dense forest beauty right, and they have taken those learnings from Massive, their other team, and they've brought it across to the Assassin's Creed franchise, and it's just a beautiful delight to navigate this world. However, not very Assassin's Creed at all. The rural part has always been secondary in Assassin's Creed. It's always been about built-up cityscapes, and they're kind of the weaker parts in this game. Most of them are flat, open plan, one story, dare I say, repetitive kind of Japanese architecture. So, like I said, the big takeaway here is it's a far cry from an Assassin's Creed game. But what it is, I really enjoyed, and I had a great time. A couple of other things we'll cover off on. They're doing something weird with the narrative, and I really don't like it. There's some cutscenes, some bloody flashbacks. Again, you're in an animus. You're a dude lying in a bed, remembering your ancestors' memories. You don't have flashbacks within flashbacks, but anyway, within these flashbacks and story beats, and I guess spoiler, right? But whatever, it's the setup, and I'll show you a clip. But they're clearly going for this. They've done it a couple of times where they get this sort of, I don't know, like Tarantino-esque 5, 6, 7, 8s from Kill Bill, totally mismatched music, and they're trying to be edgy and auteur-y, and you know what? The Tarantino example is perfect.
What are you waiting for? Attack! Attack!
And I'll give you one that's going to really upset some people that take themselves too seriously. You ever seen the movie Bullet Train? I hate Bullet Train. It might be one of the worst movies I've ever seen because it is very clearly some weak creatives that like Tarantino and are trying to copy it, and they miss what makes it so special, and then you end up with some dickheads talking about Thomas the Tank Engine stickers, and it's just cringe and awful, and it's just a pale imitation of something really interesting and kind of avant-garde, right? That's what's going on here. They're trying to ape Tarantino, and it's awful because it's in the middle of this period piece that you're going to spend hundreds of hours in playing it straight like the Shogun TV show, and then you're going to get a cutscene or a moment where Yasuke's fucking dudes up with trap music playing and all that, and they just, oh my god, they just miss it so bad, and it is immersion breaking. And look, it's not just him that gets the trap music, they give Naoe weird music, but criminally, there's no real theme either. Like, the musicality of the Assassin's Creed games has always been phenomenal. Even with the RPG trilogy, as much as they are so not Assassin's Creed, each of them have beautiful music and beautiful memorable themes. And this is all just kind of twangy, ambient stuff with occasional weird trap tunes thrown in. It's not very good. The gameplay is pretty standard fare if you've played the trilogy of RPG type games. And we're talking about stuff like you can't assassinate dudes that have 3 health bars because you don't have X points leveled up. So very RPG-ified. Again, drifting further and further from the original. Yasuke's the elephant in the room, the big black elephant in the room, right? Never have I seen such a weird, fetishized, like, woke's not the right word, right? I don't know what's going on. Some people will just grab onto that he's black. It's not like he's African American or anything like that. It's very vague. He's an ex-slave. He doesn't know where he comes from. Maybe they'll explain it in 100 hours, but I don't have 100 hours to give it. But his existence in this is just such a weird kind of spit in the face of Japanese culture. I'll say this part, he's not in it until 12 hours into the game. It's Naoe's game. They hide him away in the back or whatever. Like, narratively, I guess it kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't. He's in the intro, you play him, you walk about 10 feet, have a cutscene, and you don't see him again for 12 hours, right? Then they sort of, their paths cross. I won't ruin the narrative, such as it is. But here's the real problem, right? I'm not a scholar of the samurai, of the Bushido, but I recognize there's a sort of sanctity to it. You know, an honor-bound system held in very high regard, and it's less that they made him a samurai. I don't really care. There's all this argument about whether he was or not, or whether he just bloody hold the swords because he was a gimmick for Nobunaga. I'm not getting into that. That's someone else's territory. But in action, what happens when you play as Yasuke? Because once he's unlocked, you can switch back and forth between the two. And, you know, mechanically, she's the traditional climb up, do Assassin's Creed things. You know, actually play the game and engage with it properly. And Yasuke is the wrecking ball power trip, and I can only imagine, you know, I'm trying to be as charitable as possible, is that the devs think what they're channeling is some sort of, you know, 5-star wanted level, Rockstar GTA, killing spree kind of power gamer experience. I really think that's what they're doing here. But what it is in practice is that you're this 7-foot tall, big black brute force barbarian fucking up 5-foot tall Japanese Bushido warriors. And while the game taught you to dodge and assassinate and try and do counters and guard breaks with Naoe, you can just brute force through it with your abilities or just your general attacks. So they'll hold up blocks, but Yasuke doesn't care. You just belt them down and you'll just break their weapon and break through it. And they've got the voice lines to support it. They're all screaming, "Oh God, help me. What do? I don't know what I do." You know, like, and then the musical blast in blaring and all that. So they're clearly going for a power glee moment. But what it really looks like to me is the creatives' take is, look at the dumb samurai Bushido tradition. They work so hard to be great warriors, and all you got to do is put this fucking literal wrecking ball into the mix, and he can beat the living shit out of them. Like, he has these abilities where he can kick them and bash through walls, and like, he's literally smashing through their doors and architecture, messing up their greatest warriors just because he's a monstrous Andre the Giant kind of looking dude. And if people feel like this is spitting in the face of the culture, I wouldn't blame them, because that's what it looks like. It really does. So it is the most tone-deaf misstep. And while I think people from afar are probably going to lean into the putting a black dude in Japan woke thing, and maybe there's something to that, right? Like, people bow at him in the street, and I think that's weird. Having watched the Shogun show, I think it would have made much more sense, like, that a common Japanese dude would see him sword carrying and assume he's a foreigner that doesn't understand their customs. I would have thought people would be quicker to accost him or spit at him or abuse him, but no, he's sort of just treated like a rights-holding lord. So that's a bit odd. Like, I'm not really stopping to get bowed at very often, so who cares? But yeah, to me, and I wonder if anyone else is going to pick up on it or even talk about it, he stands as like a literal and metaphorical tearing down of the Japanese warrior culture, as a statement of like, I don't care how good you are as a samurai, I'm just going to smash you. It's so bad, man. Anyway, funnily enough, having said all that, I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed the world. It was a delight to live in, and what there is of Assassin's Creed, climbing up and looking at eagle points and enjoying the environment. I thought it was a really well realized, beautiful world, but it has some pretty glaring negatives that everyone's going to get hung up on. And while in my compact video amount of time I've brought up those negatives, in my 18 hours of time, they weren't super glaring enough. You know, you can just not play as Yasuke, which I mostly did. Once I realized what he was and how he's unpleasant to play, you know, navigating terrain, etc., I just kind of stuck with Naoe because I grew fond of her. As far as scoring goes, I'm going to sit it at 90% on my scale. Now, look, don't freak out, right? Because I haven't done 100 games and we're just filling it from 100% down, right? What this does represent is actually a kind of relatively low score. In fact, if we did some quick math, what would it be? I guess on 14 games, over 100, it'd be 100 into 14, and then I guess it's third from the bottom, so that'd be times 3. This score sits closer to like 21, 22%. And that will bear out over 12 months. Now, like I said, I enjoyed my time with it, but there's like 10 other games I would recommend first before you check this out. Because I mean, even consider most games I'm going to pick up out of the 100, I'm not going to play something I don't want to play. So even out of 100, they're probably all going to be good anyway. So I wouldn't say this was bad at all, but it's got its issues for sure. And to tie a bow on it, I enjoyed my time with it. I don't regret it, but my God, they should stop calling it Assassin's Creed. Anyway, team, might just leave it there for the time being. I'll catch you guys on the next one.